Alright guys, so I'm going to try and quickly explain how to change your VVTI O-ring on this cam gear. And the way I did this was actually on the car. Now, I didn't actually think of recording this until I was done, unfortunately, but I can probably explain the process that I went through in about a minute or two. So, real quick, first thing you're going to do is you're going to find this little mark here, this little opening, and this little circle. Take a permanent marker and make a line over here very visible, and then make a circle over here very visible as well. Use a bright color like gray, blue, green, red, etc. If you want, go ahead and mark a bolt like this. My pulley already had that marking, so I went ahead and used that. I made other markings, but they actually, when I was cleaning the pulley, they disappeared. So it was nice to have these three. And it's important so that when you assemble it, it goes right back on the way that it came off. Anyways, so after you make those markings, take this off. Then you're going to take these bolts off. There's 5 bolts. Take those bolts out. And sometimes the pulley's going to come off, sometimes it won't. Some people, what they do is they take in the opening here, when you take the bolt out, there's going to be a little hole. And you're going to take a flathead screwdriver and kind of lightly pry a little bit. You know, maybe pound the end of the screwdriver with your palm. But do not go too crazy because you don't want to damage it. I did that to mine, and eventually this thing wiggled out. And when it comes out, it's not going to come straight out. It's going to kind of turn a little bit and come out. It's really important that when you do this, that you do not take the inner gear that's under this. There's a gear under this one. It's very important that you don't take both of them out. So be very careful. You know, maybe move it a little bit and take a flashlight and look in here to make sure you're not pulling the whole gear assembly out. Don't get too worried about it because I really doubt it's going to happen. Just make sure this piece, the piece we're looking at right now, that's the only piece that comes off. So when you get that off, more than likely, if you have an oil leak, the O-ring is going to be caked onto the pulley. Just take a razor blade, get the gasket material off, take some sandpaper and clean it up. Use brake cleaner on everything. Make sure there's no debris inside the internals in here. I mean, you can't see them obviously, but inside this, make sure in none of the grooves that there's any type of plastic or, rubber material. Anyways, when you do that, you're going to very clearly see underneath this, when this is off, there's going to be a little groove for the O-ring, and you're going to have to kind of stretch this O-ring out a little bit. Don't go too crazy, but just, you know, do what you have to do. You know, it's probably going to take you 5 to 10 tries, but eventually you'll get it. So after you get this O-ring seated in here in the groove that you'll see behind this, you got maybe about 30-45 seconds before it's going to start contracting and pop out. So in that time, you have to hurry up and put this piece, the one we see right here, you have to hurry up and put it back on. Now, there is only one way for it to go on. There is a special type of groove under this, so that it only goes on one way. Now, oddly enough, even though I didn't think I moved anything, when I put it on, I actually had to turn it a little bit. Mind you, the bolts are not in it. I had to turn it so that these little markings here lined up again. So just keep that in mind. The most important thing is that the gear inside of here does not come off. That's important. If that comes off, you're probably screwed. So that's how important it is. But anyways, once you get this on and you turn it as needed to get to the marked positions, try and line them up the best you can, and then put these bolts back in. You know, hold it in place while you're putting the bolts in. So one hand holding it in to keep that O-ring seated, the other hand to put the bolts in, right? So anyways, after that's done, the job's pretty much complete. I can't tell you what foot-pounds to put these at. I put them at like 10, which is probably more than enough. So the job's pretty much complete after that. As long as these are lined up, you put this back on. I put a new seal on this. Probably didn't need it, but I put it on anyways. And that's it. The job's done. And the way I did that, no oil's leaking now, and the car started up fine. It runs fine. I mean, I haven't taken it down the street, but I'm like 99.9% sure that it's totally fine. A lot of people think you gotta take the whole pulley off, but I'm telling you right now, I'm not pulling the valve cover off and, you know, taking the pulley off itself and having to retime it. I ain't doing all that bullshit. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it on the car. You know, some people say, oh, you can't do it. Some people say you can. Well, it works. Like most things I've been finding out with these, everyone says that you can't do it, but you can. So anyways, I know there wasn't very much visual there, but I'm telling you right now, all I really got to remember, mark these. When you put it back together, make sure they're lined up, and that's it. I mean, it's really simple. Don't be scared of it. Obviously, with the GTE, there's nothing to really worry about valve-wise. With the GE, obviously take more care. You don't want to screw this up because you might, you probably end up with bent valves, possibly. But yeah, like I said, most important thing, the only takeaway, mark these really good, and then make sure it goes right back on the way you took it off. Trust me, you're not gonna mess it up. I mean, you'd have to really go to town to mess this up. I mean, like I said, the worst part could be is if you took that gear inside of here off. Anyways, that's it. I'm gonna try and keep it short. So if you have any questions, comment. I'll tell you. I'll try and help you out the best I can.